there's all of these higher senses coming online. And the people you're talking about, these people are probably cut down a lot of sugar and stuff in their diet. So the fungal growths are starting to leave and the systems are starting to come back online. So I believe the earth is in a process of rebalancing itself. I think consciousness is in a process of rebalancing itself. And those that have been keeping up with their diet and keeping, this fungal growths down in their body and keeping themselves in the right energetic state are starting to shift in and out of these higher senses. They're starting to have stuff come online that they may not have experienced before. And that's the thing with higher senses. They come online and you start receiving information and you don't really know how to interpret it because you haven't learnt any of this yet. You know it's information, but it's difficult to understand some of it because, it took you 5 years to learn how to use the 5 senses that you've got. So when you start having higher ones come online suddenly, it can sort of feel a little bit disconnecting from the world around you. You don't really want to be around other people. You don't really, you can see the problems with the world and you don't really want to participate in it. But I think that's what we're going to see more and more of. But people have to be aware of what's going on in 3D reality. See, this is what I keep saying to people. You're here to experience this. It's what you do with this. You've got to pay attention to what's going on around you. And once you do realize that we all do come from a single source and that we're all here simply to gain the perspective which is ourselves of this experience and to help with this realignment, I think a lot of the people that have come here have actually come here to help with the realignment, then, your purpose becomes clear. You can't forget to pay attention to 3D reality, though. You have to participate in it because that's why you're here.
But people, sometimes they are very angry towards you, when you express anything beyond just that 3D reality. They just there's just this anger vortex.
Well, yeah, it's the predator mind, and it's also very confronting to people, because they're running programs. People are all programmed into this reality. The best thing you can really do, I believe, is to lead by example in all that you do. Be a pleasure to be around. Always improve someone's day if you come in contact with them. Try to improve their day. Don't bring them down. Give them something. Give them some energy. Everybody you come in contact with. If they disagree with your beliefs or what the information you're attempting to present them, well, don't present it to them. Just present them a you that they would wish to emulate. They would want to be as happy as you are and as joyful as you are and as positive as you are. And they would want to be able to give energy to people the way you give it to them. Lead by example in what you do. And they will change by themselves. Their energy will change. They'll start emulating that energy. And that's how you can do it on an energetic level. You don't have to give it to them with information which is going to challenge their belief systems because this is very, very deep programming that people are running and it can be very, very confronting. You come to someone who's 40 or 50 or 60 years old and you're telling them that their life up to that point has been completely meaningless, that everything they did was worth absolutely nothing, and that everything they thought was true about reality is actually false. That's virtually what you're presenting them with. And that's very confronting. So you've got to, as I've said before, you've got to undo the sequence. And the first part of undoing the sequence is for them to understand who and what they are. And the best way to give them that is to be all that you can be and lead by example in all that you do when you're around these people.
Well, some people, I think, are really surrounded by sinister forces. I can see just absolute dark energies just swirling around people. It's sometimes it's really scary to encounter that, and these people are really kind of possessed. And I don't know whether to call it archons. It almost seems like this energy is a mechanical energy that's being produced almost like from an artificial intelligence somewhere. And it is comprised of this absolute dark energy and somewhere, some other dark dimension. And you see it just like wraith just surrounding people.
You're right, Maggie. It's all over the conspiracy research community, the anti-human almost sentiment, the anti-spirituality aspect. And there's a lot of truth in what you're talking about. One of the things that I was relieved about when I left Portland, where I was doing my television show for 6 years, is that I no longer was glared at by people in the supermarkets, or people in pubs, or people in restaurants that would recognize me and the things that I talked about. It's a little different than just being online, because it was a community access TV show. It was my community. And so that was a lot to go through, to have people that you didn't even know sending you dark energy, glaring at you in public. And definitely that was a very tough experience, but that's also one of the beauties of living off the grid. I want to turn it back over to Max, because I know, Max, you've been attacked pretty heavily for every time you try to go in a more spiritual direction or understanding of what's going on. And how have you dealt with that? How do you shield that? How do you move beyond that so you're not affected?
Well, it's very difficult. I mean, sometimes you do get affected. I get sucked in sometimes. People start baiting me on threads, and I'll get pulled into it. I'll start making comments that are completely unconscious. A few minutes later, I think, what did I say that for? And I delete it. And I think, why did I go there? Why did I get back to that point? And I find it interesting that I get pulled into it all the time. There's these forces that try to pull you in, and they succeed. I mean, I'm aware of all of this stuff, and I get pulled into it all the time. So I'm not perfect. I don't pretend to be perfect. But there is this predator mind that is there, that has superimposed itself over human consciousness. You called it the archons before, a very, very interesting concept, the concept of the archons, if you look at Gnostic teachings, the Nag Hammadi writings. I actually read the Nag Hammadi writings just before I left to go over on my trip overseas last year. And I saw a lot of evidence to support what they say in those writings. And you really can, if you look at our society, why it is so machine-like, why everything in our society is designed to mimic and imitate that which is natural, that which we already have. It's like we create these cheap, clunky versions of it. And why human consciousness and human science seems to be trying to reverse engineer life. Like, why are we looking for the God particle? What for? What the God particle? What a piece of material, a piece of matter that's going to create consciousness. We're not going to find it. Consciousness exists in the field. Consciousness is divine. You're not going to find that spark of creative consciousness anywhere in matter. So why are we even bothering to search for it? Is it us that's searching for it, or is it, as the Gnostics suggested, an archon consciousness that has superimposed itself over human consciousness, that is using the creativity of humankind to create what it is searching for? Is that why we are so intent on creating this machine society and looking for artificial life? So you look for evidence of this, and you see the you see the evidence of it all around you, and then you look at what the Gnostics say, and they say, well, yeah, this is what's going on. They've been telling us this for years, and every time the Gnostics try to gain any repute or they start making any headway, they get stomped out pretty quickly. And then you find books such as the Teachings of Don Juan, the Castaneda books, where they talk about the predator mind. They talk about the fact that this mind has superimposed itself over human consciousness. And you start seeing evidence of this. And then with what I experienced in Peru, what I experienced, the connection to all of nature and what we should actually be, well, it starts to make a lot of sense. That this may indeed be what has happened. This may indeed be the cause of evil, the origin of evil that everyone's been searching for. Why do we do the things we do? Why do we have this dark side? Where does this dark energy come from? Why is our society so disconnected from nature? Why is it so opposite of what it should be? It's like everything's backwards. Everything is an imitation of what it should be. Even the legal system, the straw man that you're given, the birth certificate, the whole legal system, which is designed to emulate or imitate natural law, but natural law frees you and legislation enslaves you. So it's an imitation. It's been superimposed over itself, and it's the reverse of what it should be. And everything that they've done to our society and they've done to our consciousness, they've imitated it and they've turned it up on its head and made it the reverse of what it should be. And they implant distrust in everybody. There's so much distrust in the truth movement. I get attacked all the time, and I do get sucked into it sometimes because I'm not perfect. Of course I get sucked into it. But everybody finds everybody else as a threat to their little boxed view of reality, to the program that they're running. And most of society, 99.999% of it is programmed. And people have to wake up to this and just let the programs break down. But they've got to be prepared to think outside the box. They've got to be prepared to step back and really look at reality for what it is.
What will happen to these people? I feel like they're about to be left behind like zombies. I think people who are waking up are sort of the survivors, and those people are just kind of going to be kind of the walking dead, just consumed by this sort of dark dimension. What do you see in the future?
I see us leaving it altogether. I see the whole thing becoming good, becoming rectified. I think that we are connected to the field, all of us together, and I think no matter how much this dark Archon predator mind takes control of people within the system, I don't think that they're going to have a choice. I think that consciousness is going to realign itself as the planet realigns itself, as this reality realigns itself. And I think that our Creator, whatever you perceive that Creator to be, whether you perceive it to be God or whether you perceive it to be the Earth Mother or Yahweh or Allah or whatever you perceive your Creator to be, I would suggest that it isn't Yahweh though. That's another story. Mm-hmm. But whoever you perceive your Creator to be, I believe that the Creator has faith in humankind, in the mind of mankind. They have faith in us to be able to realign ourselves and take the rest of reality with us. If human consciousness is all connected, then once this balance happens, once we start participating in the world around us and exercising the power that we naturally have, then things will naturally realign themselves and the rest of the world will come with us. But it's got to be done through participation in this 3D reality though. You've got to know the power that you've got. You've got to understand that we're all created equal by the Creator and that everything that exists beneath us is all fiction. We made the whole thing up. It's not real. It only exists on paper. And until we can respect ourselves enough to respect those around us and work in unison and harmony with these people around us, then it's never going to work. You might find some person with dark energy you can't work with. Well, that's fine. Leave them be and work with someone else. But don't change your energy. Stay in that positive energy, even if they're dark. You can still love them. You can still see that they're only dark because they're programmed or they're conditioned to have the belief system that they've got. And the best thing that you can do is lead by example in all that you do and make sure you maintain the correct energetic state while you participate in the world. And try not to get pulled into the little confrontations. It is hard because, like I said, I get pulled into them. And we all do. And they seem to be escalating at the moment. There's a lot of this dark energy out there trying to derail this shift that's happening. Because the shift is happening right now. We are in the process of this shift right now. It's not something that was just they were going to flick a switch and it was going to change. It's happening over a period. Even the mind said that it will happen over a period. And we're in the process of it now, but people have to participate.
So, it's
Maggie,
very intense.
We got a break coming up. Go ahead, Maggie. A lot of great points, by the way.
Okay, thank you. Oh, well, I'm just saying it's physically intense. I can physically feel when there's a great deal of solar activity, and it's, how to deal with the pain that it causes, a physical pain.
And we'll be back in just a bit. And I understand what you're saying, Maggie. There's a lot of people going through that. And that's why grounding and being in your own space and protecting your mind is extremely important. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. 218-339-8525. Max, you were telling me something very interesting during the break relating to the Nagamati text, which refers to the archons and the demiurge and this matrix-like system of control. What did they have to say about the sun?
Well, when the Earth was created, apparently Sapphire was created. The Earth was a creation of Sapphire, basically. Sapphire morphed into the Earth, if you will. This was according to the Nagamati text. But when the sun was created and this whole solar system was created, according to the Gnostics, the sun, whose name is Sabaoth, actually aligned itself with the Earth. And they agreed consciously, a conscious agreement to always act in harmony with each other, which is why the sun has increased in temperature like 30% in the last few thousand years, but the temperatures remain the same on Earth. And when there's sunspot activity, there's certain things that happen with human consciousness, and we have a very, very symbiotic relationship with the sun. All life on the planet is a result of the sun. If the sun wasn't where it is and we weren't there in relation to it, then there would be no life. And it's very interesting that Earth is an organic planet,